welcome, welcome, welcome to a very special class, a very special edition of the Unity Blender class. Our first guest, the first of many. Our guest today is Ebontain. Ebontain, I guess I'll leave it to you to share us a little bit about yourself and then what you want to cover today.
Okay, so I'm an indie and AAA game developer, specialty in Unity. Been streaming for over 25 years since Live 365 started, and basically I've been working on this world and avatars, trying to figure out how to, optimize things to get more avatars in a world. I guess would be the easiest way of explaining it.
Awesome. Good stuff. But yes, I'm excited. We were going to discuss some stuff about matcapping, some stuff about UVs, and various other optimization and performance things. I think some of the things you initially shared with me that stuck out, firstly, is that you have, 60 kilometers squared or something like that? It was 100?
Actually, it's 100 kilometers squared of fire in this world.
100 kilometers square of volumetric fire, as far as the eye can see. And farther, because clipping is a thing. So you're not even seeing all of it.
Hey, I even crashed Unity once because I accidentally copy-pasted the wrong variable and tried to set the camera to 3 times the distance of Earth. Unity lasted 1 frame.
That's incredible.
I'm still impressed Unity lasted 1 frame.
Yeah, see, it's fascinating stuff. And then the other thing that I think really captured me here and got us onto the discussion of matcaps is how you use matcaps is different than I've seen anybody else use them. In the sense that most of this, if not all of this in this world, isn't using any albedo texture at all. I think maybe just like the image down there,
images,
and that's it. So when we define what matcap is and what an albedo texture is, an albedo texture is what most things in VRC that everybody else makes uses, which is just your normal texture colors. Almost everything here that you're seeing is using just matcaps on normal maps to cause these effects without any albedo texture, which is pretty crazy and not an approach I've seen anybody else do. So that's what definitely gripped me.
I want to show them the pull cues, actually.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll run over there and show them off.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I had some fun with
Pull's always such a good time.
Because, Cyber and a few others all play pool, and I wanted to make them look better.
These cool little textures.
Yeah. The customizable pool cues are awesome.
Yes.
Yep. One's copper and one's silver.
And the some other stuff here, like these gold textures, are really interesting to me. You have a panning matcap on this that definitely engaged me. Thought it was really interesting. Just looks really cool. Looks very otherworldly, as you put it.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be hell, so it's like, I don't want to just be gold,
Yes. But yeah, I'll leave it to you to start kind of bringing us along the journey of whatever you want to talk about. Matcaps, optimization, UVs, etc. And I'm happy to pop it around with what I have as we discussed, and we can go from there.
Okay. So basically, when we're looking at a matcap like this gold texture, what a matcap is, and it's dumb how you make them. You make a high poly sphere in any 3D program, 3D software you want. You paint it and you take a screenshot of it. That is basically a matcap. And how they work is, so you can see the textures on the gold that's being looked at right now. And basically, depending on where on that sphere you're looking at, so if you think like there's bumps on this, you're basically seeing different parts of that sphere, and matcaps are what's called infinitely replicatable, which means that basically the matcap being used to make this gold uses a texture map and then matcaps that are literally only being imported at 32 by 32. I'm watching bit screen here.
Yeah, trying to move around. It's not like in my attempts. Very interesting. Oh well. Mostly just wanted to show the gold texture anyway, so I'll just do it like this.
Oh yeah, so you can see LOD groups there. Just as a note, you actually can do model-based LOD in VRC. So you can actually make worlds already hyper-optimized.
Hey, what's LOD?
Level of detail by range. So you can basically have different meshes, LOD 0, LOD 1, LOD 2, progressively being more decimated as you get further along.
Very cool stuff. And showing off the gold material here. I'm getting a lot of lag. I think it's the sheer number of things I have running on my machine at once right now.
Yes.
I may have made a mistake by having 3 separate Unity projects, 2 separate Blender projects, and streaming and recording all at once.
Ashita,
Yeah.
Get out of that scene because that does have 30.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's not helping right now, is it? Can we
Yeah,
just close
just-
scenes? And I guess I can just open recent scenes and open up.
Yeah, just open Ebontain.
Yeah, sure.
That'll probably unload your computer a bit.
Oh, yes. Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Still, this world is special. I can also turn off always reload. That'll probably always refresh. That'll probably help a little bit.
Oh yeah, so I guess the level of detail could be kind of like modified too, depending on your hardware, like different like performance toggles.
Yeah, so that is one thing that I will be copy pasting to the chat in a little bit. So I don't
that'd be
use
huge.
the standard Unity registry that you get with the VRC worlds. I actually use everything in Unity, including adaptive performance. So my world actually does get adaptive performance built into it.
All right, so if you have like one of those high-end flagships, it'll look like even more detailed, but like on lower-end hardware, it'll still run nicely.
Yeah, it will actually change your settings based on, how nasty the world is, basically. Which with mine, like in desktop solo, this world runs at about 180 FPS. So, which is also scary considering the 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers of flame, ceiling, and ground.
All right, and I'm sure you can kind of optimize for certain different characteristics, like the level of detail and stuff,
Oh yeah, you can do a lot.
and the frame rate you want.
The first thing is like the LOD groups when you're making a world, if you are making a big world. The second thing is, which we'll be showing later, is when you import a normal map, you can actually set it to gray out at range, which lowers the processing the further someone is away from the normal map.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Trying to pull up the material here. Struggling a little bit, so keep yapping.
Okay. So a lot of, what you see with this world is literally there's no texture maps. Everything in here is a normal map and then 1 to 4 matcaps that are basically used as paint swatches depending on the angle you're viewing it at. And this basically, to give you an idea, my avatar is actually it's a free avatar you can download. It's the Malzeno base from Monster Hunter. It starts out at about 250 megabytes of video memory. Fully matte capped, it's 8 megabytes and looks a lot better.
All right. Sadly, I don't think we're going to be able to get much more performance, but that's okay. We can eke it out. I at least have the material open here. So we can see kind of the basics of the material. We can walk through it if you'd like, but starting off, there's just a color here and no texture.
That'd be great, like understanding what each thing does.
Yep. There we go. There's the normal map. So would you like to talk a little bit about what normal maps are? Or
so normal maps are, depending on how you use them, are basically just taking a flat texture and giving it ridges and bumps to simulate that it has more texture than it actually has, or more, more polys than it
more
actually
resolution.
has.
Yeah. Yep. You can see people doing high resolution models to low resolution bakes all the time. This is actually really common in game dev, where you'll have you'll make 2 separate copies of the same object. You'll make one that's hyper detailed, that has all the little nooks and crannies in the polygons, like a million poly model, and then make a super low poly version, maybe like a couple thousand tops. That's really similar, but doesn't have quite all the same details. And then you can actually bake a normal map from that high poly version to a low poly version to simulate all the little details and get really close. It's fascinating stuff. I think there's a really good example of it. I go to the Wikipedia page for normal mapping.
Yeah, matter of fact, one thing you'll see is that's an 8K normal map. We're obviously not bringing it in at 8K though.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense to switch it down. This is I think a fantastic example of this. Wow, I'm trying to make it bigger to not make it any bigger. So you can see here, this one here is the original model. This is the low poly version, and they baked a normal map from the conversion between the high poly to the low poly, and this one on the right is the result, which is it's not quite as high fidelity as the original model, but it's way better than this low poly version by a mile. It's pretty fascinating, actually.
Right, and I guess this will be key to getting like new hardware like those 8K VR headsets working to their best capability.
Oh, it's even funnier than that. So if you go into the properties of that normal map,
Yep.
there it is. So outside of the grayscale, you can see fade out to gray. That's actually how you degrade it over range. And if you look, we're bringing this in at 1K basically, but there is a trick to this that is sort of funny. So when we're looking at these things, and we're going to be going over this in the sort of advanced portion of the class, that is a, what was it, 22,000 poly pillar, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that.
So I UV overlaid every poly. So when you're looking at it, every poly on that is at 1K.
Fascinatingly detailed. We can see that too. Kind of. I'm not going to be able to zoom into it very far. In fact, I don't seem to be able to move my view. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. Can't just do that, can't I? Well, let's go see him. We can zoom, look at literally any. I guess go look at the pillars themselves. Yep. You can dive really close and see just a ton of detail.
Yeah, every triangle is a 1K normal map. That is right. What is your FPS in here, by the way? I with actually, all this open,
no idea how to check my FPS in VR. Without VR, rather. Excuse me.
Yep. It's actually normally shown on mine.
Oh, I think it's in 60. Settings.
Yeah, 6 with 3 unities open.
Yeah. The rest of my computer is struggling. 3 unities open and streaming and recording. Like my computer's struggling a little bit. But yes, ridiculously performant. It's actually shocking to me. I'm really surprised by this. For some reason, I would have assumed that showing a 1K texture for every poly would severely degrade performance, not improve it.
Yeah, and that's the scary part is, so the thing I told you were going to laugh at, I'd like to go and explain this now.
Yeah.
So even without using normal maps, if you have an avatar, and if you want to bring up your mirror just so we can give it a little example here. So most of Bit's avatar is left-right symmetric, skin, etc. If you take the left side UV, flip it, put it over the right side, you will literally have the video memory of this avatar right there. And how this came about was in the first 3 months of Unity, we found a bug. And I was developing, at a company, that looked at Unity like, hey, it's the new engine on the block. It might be good. Let's have a few people of the team look at it, right? If you accidentally overlaid 2 UVs, you got a performance hit of 0.3. In other words, if you had 100 frames, you were now at 3 frames. This was a huge bug. We told Unity. Unity took 4 months to figure out how to fix it. And when it came out, they had accidentally caused what we now call UV mirroring and UV overlaying, where now if you overlay the first poly that is overlaid is at 100% rendering and the rest are at 1%.
Huh. Interesting.
And it was an accident. It was a very happy accident because you can do things like this where you've got a 22K model that when I looked in the profiler on it, this is rendering with a video space of 38 kilobytes.
It's crazy. Really interesting.
Because all of these pillars are the same, like they're the same FBX. It's actually even funnier than that because it's all of the additional pillars are also just flat out at 1%.
Oh my gosh. I can see why that would be, that's really fascinating.
Yeah. During one of the tests when I was demonstrating it before, we actually put in, I think it was 7,000 of these, and there was a 1 FPS loss.
That's hilarious. Really interesting. And I assume a lot of that with the stacked UVs effectively is just because it has to do a texture lookup and it can just repeat and cache that same value over and over again.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense.
As a matter of fact, there is something coming to Unity. And of course, VRC is going to have to eventually get up to that Unity version, but they are doing something for the future of VRC, which is if you have 2 avatars that either have the same matcap or the same texture, it will do the same thing across avatars. But VR has to catch up to the current version of Unity when they do develop it. So that's going to be a pain.
Oh, interesting. And I imagine too, I guess that's more common than I would think. Originally, I was going to be like, well, everybody has a different avatar, so that wouldn't work very well. Except there are a lot of clones in VRC. You see a lot of people running around with the same, the same stock Avi.
Yeah, well, not just clones, but like the hair Matcap I gave you.
Yeah.
If anyone else is using that particular Matcap, then it would do it. So it's an interesting aspect that they're trying to do. If it will be successful, who knows?
Well, I can see how that would be useful.
Potentially market like specific assets that are highly optimized too and look high detail.
Oh yeah. Actually, do you want to show what my avatar looks like real quick?
Sure.
I mean, in world.
Oh, in world. Yep. Where are you?
I'm on the deck.
Where? Oh, there you are. Got you.
All right. So this used to be a black and red avatar at 200 literally 200 megabytes. I do not know texture mapping, etc. So this is just a replicating map. And you want to show, like, you can see some pretty high detail, right?
Yeah, I can. I think like this texture
bring
here.
up my avatar details.
Yep.
Because this is going to be scary.
How
Oh wow!
Yeah,
it's
how does it look compared to the original?
Yeah, it's so much less than the original, and it looks way better. My worst things are I use extra fizz bones and bones to do certain things with the avatar. That's literally the only thing in the red and yellow.
Yep. And that's just your wings entirely.
Yeah, it's literally just my wings. You know how to show in VRC the fizz bones?
Yep.
Oh, I was going to just do it in the world.
Oh, that works too. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So go to your, I almost said emotions wheel. Go to options. Go to avatar overlay.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Fizz bones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow, that's really neat.
I forgot you could do this.
So you can now see the fizz bones and what I did with them. Now, obviously, in Unity, you see a bit more, which it'll show you in a minute. But basically, these wings don't have an animator. They actually move based on my shoulder movements. And
Really
so they're actually
fascinating.
tied to the shoulder bone. And you can show that in,
Okay.
So if you want to talk about a complex set of fizz bones.
Yep. Lots of limits there and everything. We were just talking about this before class too. It's really interesting. The way that he currently has it set up is that there are multiple fizzbone components going down the chain to be able to control different aspects of the limits and the rotations. So looking at like the spine, chest, shoulder, you have the wing root here as a fizzbone, wing root.
What
left,
this does, actually, you know what I could do? Well, we'll do this later, but later I'll have you clone the avatars. Oh, you're in desktop too. Never mind.
Yep.
Well, if we end up having someone in here in half or full body, we'll show that off. But so if I move my arms up, the wings sort of furl out because of how they're set up. If I bring them down, then they, sort of go down and in a little bit. If I bring them out to the sides, they sort of widely disperse, move forward if my arms go forward. So it lets me sort of be very animate whenever I'm DJing or... Well, DJing.
If
I don't
you need
do the other
somebody to
stuff.
load up, I can.
Yeah. Let me see if I've got my avatar clonable real quick.
Worst case, we can always do it after class too. Show it off a little bit.
We can continue on, and then when they get in, I'll
Sweet.
go from there.
Yeah, no, it's incredible to see what the texture memory and like looking in here at that detail. Like you can see a crazy amount of detail on those scales because it's just a tiled normal map. At the end of the day, that's all that it is. There's a scales normal map here. We can go actually take a look at that in Unity, right? So people get an idea. Looking at the body dark material here. Again, no texture, just matcaps. Go over to shading, matcap. Go find the scales. Sorry, that's normals. I'm being silly.
Yep.
There we go. So this is a seamless scales normal map.
Yeah, and zoom in and
Watermark included. You can see it in the Avi too in some spots. That the lighting in the world right now is kind of dark, so it's hard to tell. But you can, if you look closely.
Yeah, you can find I literally this
areas.
this is the $0 avatar I'm using to learn things. So I was just throwing things on, and I'm like, I don't care if there's a watermark. Fuck it.
It's so funny. I can't see it right now
because
because of the lighting
was the first person
in this area,
in 6 months to find it.
And the only reason I even found it is because I looked at the normal map itself in Unity. Funniest thing. But yeah, just tiling this normal map everywhere and then using a bunch of matcaps on top of it. It's 6
you wanna go
megabytes
over
of
the
texture
eye?
memory. Yes, let's talk about the eye. Notice something interesting about these eyes? It's hard to tell in dusky, but they're always looking at you. And
one of the things about Matcaps is, you remember how I said, depending on where you're looking at the sphere, you see something different? If you have a Matcap on a sphere with no normal map, then the Matcap is always pointed straight at you, which means if you make an eye out of a Matcap, it always looks at you.
This blew my mind when we were talking about it earlier. I can show it off again in Unity. Crazy idea. Because obviously in VRC, you can set it up so that your eye bones move around. But to just do this via a normal map is hilariously cool.
Right? Like, I guess eye tracking is a new thing too.
Yes, eye tracking is fun.
So this wouldn't work with eye tracking. My new avatar would, because it's using a different Matcap technique, which is where I mask the eye, because the mask always stays relative to the bones and everything else.
But yes, effectively, this image here is being used as a Matcap on a sphere that is the eye. And that's what results in the eye always looking at you. And here's the Matcap right here. While we're at it, we could talk a little bit about the actual construction of Matcaps here. Do we want to pull my Avi into a project here to look at that? How do we want to handle that?
Yeah. Just drop it into a new scene, and
sure.
Everything's already set up. I'll start getting those files for everyone too.
Awesome. Which project should I show it up in? The A-Shite one?
The other one.
We
can close that to get you some more memory.
Oh, sure. That's fine. I think I'm good right now. I'll pull my FBX in. I did not prepare this very well before class. I wonder if I have. No, cool.
Hey, I'm here now.
Awesome.
Welcome back.
Oh, looks like you're working on something fun there.
Bunch of different things.
Nice. Working on some like trippy effects.
Oh, and which thing were you referring to in particular?
Oh, like the LSD one, where you're working on some trippy effects.
Oh yeah, I was messing around a little bit.
Oh, they're nice.
Gosh, what was I looking for? Right, FBX.
The whole thing with those effects is like you're experiencing something out of this world generally. Like that's the cool thing with like VR.
Yes, I love. I mean, that's of course one of the biggest things about VR is being able to experience things so dynamically. Also, Ebontain, get your avatar clonable. So
I do have it set to clonable, but I might need to switch out and back in. So feel free to check.
Yeah, make sure you also turn on your cloning itself. You know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay. All right.
You ever had that moment where you went, this is what I need to grab, and then go, what was I grabbing again?
All the time. Universal experience. It's okay. We're allowed to be a little bit scuffed.
Oh yeah,
it's a free
deep dive and learn more about the individual components and how they all work.
Yes, same. Well, cool. So we can go ahead and discuss what it would look like to. I'm going to go hide this other humanoid base here. I think the idea that we have here is that we're going to. I need to turn off lighting so that things don't look super strange. Also, wow, that's
files here.
Fascinatingly bad. Holy heck! I wonder how that happened. But anyway, we're going to take my unmaterialed FBX and start to add some things on top of it to see what we can do. I think thinking about it from the get-go here, we're going to have a hard time with like the nails and stuff since we don't have masks properly for the nails. Although I can go in and make masks. Like we can talk about that and show how that looks.
Basically, since we're not doing the areola, we just need the mask for the nails. And I think you got shoes on, so we don't need to worry about the toenails either.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, we could talk about how to make those masks. We actually, funny enough, discussed this a little bit last class when we were talking about making pathing, where effectively you just go load up your UVs or load up even the existing texture in like Photoshop and just start drawing white and black areas.
So I realize I can't put files in Hall of Technology, so I will give you the files for giving to everyone.
Okay, interesting. Later. You can't put files there. Good to know. Yeah, feel free to toss them all to me. I can disseminate them. We can also do Google Drive links or whatever too.
Just to show, obviously a few people here have worked on avatars or worlds. Do you want to go to Window real quick and then Package Manager?
Yes, this is a great topic.
Yeah, and this will bring up the Unity registry. And if you've ever made actually, you might want to bring that out and make that full screen. It's a lot.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, so I don't think it gave you my entire registry, actually.
Yeah, I think that's local to your computer, actually. I think it'll only give things that are installed in this project.
No, it's there.
Okay.
All right, so you'll see the world one's even bigger, but you'll see I basically have a few things, tool chains for the other operating systems. This doesn't really do much, but you'll notice things like if you click on like Universal RP real quick, this is something I have in my world that everyone says, oh, this doesn't work. Yeah, all you got to do is install it.
Do you want to go into a little bit more detail about that? What rendering pipelines even are?
So rendering pipeline is basically how everything is either compiled or how the rendering works in a project that you make in Unity. And come to find out, Unity worlds are basically the equivalent of VRC as a Docker for the world, not an actual full program. So when you add something like Universal Rendering Pipeline, you actually get that in your world. So like go to my world file actually, and let's see what its package manager says, because that should show you some real fun.
Oh, let's take it a second. That's how you know.
Yeah, that's how you know that there are things in here. It will take a few seconds, to be honest.
No kidding. Again, aforementioned computer struggling.
Yeah, you might actually want to close the Ashite since we're done with that one.
Sure.
That might help your computer just a little.
Yeah, I believe that's still the other one. Still loading. Wow.
Yeah. Wait until you see how many. Let's let that load in the background while we do other stuff.
Absolutely. So we can go to.
I could potentially even send you a screenshot of mine.
Yeah, feel free. I mean, it'll load eventually. Also, I don't know what's going on exactly with this. This is a little strange. I don't think it has to do with your setup, but this is the same FBX that I use in my project right now. So don't think it's my problem either.
Don't know.
Very interesting.
Last import generated 5 warnings. Go back to the skin. No, the click on the skin in the bottom left. In the class folder.
Oh, skin. Sorry. Yes.
All right. Now go back to the model, and I think that's actually no. Click on the model in the.
In here. Yep.
And
yes. This looks like it's not directly related.
Okay.
With no weight and bone assigned. Interesting. There's something might be a little bit wrong with this FBX. I think this is my most recent one.
Maybe go into your project and export it.
Oh, let's go combine body 16 instead. This is my most recent one. I am bad at naming things. God, I'm bad at naming things.
Hey, I made a event security group in VRC and called it Conglomerated Protection System, and completely forgot the CPS also means Child Protective Services.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. This is opportune. I just downloaded Blender like yesterday.
Excellent. One of us. Nice. One of us. All right, let's pull this one and see if it's any better.
I can't find the world that I want, so I just have to make it.
Yeah, there you go. This is definitely, you're in the right place. I don't know what's going on here, but I think we can just move forward anyway.
I think it's probably just the base skin file. So let's actually bring up that skin and let's just work on it for a second.
Yep. So start off by setting up point only tune. Yep. And
fixes it. Okay.
Well, maybe we'll have to see once we actually start adding things to it.
Yep. So the first thing we'll do is go to shading, and we're going to go to realistic.
Got you. We should explain as we go here, just for people who've never worked with materials before. And it's back. Hilarious. We can just ignore it. I think it'll be fine.
Yep. So basically different shading types. Some are going to be like working more on like tune is sort of just like, or flat is sort of tune-ish. Realistic sort of gives you a more, as it says, realistic lighting on it. But what we'll do next is going to be the fun one. So let's turn on Matcap 0 and go on and hit the little button and type in skin. And go on and scroll down. You'll get to find out how many stuff for skin I have here.
Jeez.
I have every color of the human rainbow as well as dark elf.
Incredible.
Dang.
That's quite a lot of skin Matcaps.
Literally pick your favorite for your
pick a color. Let's go with you. You will be pretty.
Yep. And so just right there, without putting a normal map on,
we have skin. Let me go take off the pants as well so we can get a little bit better of a view. Maybe even the socks.
Sorry, Pepper. Except I couldn't whistle for some reason.
Jeez. Not like that.
Oh, interesting. I guess when you take off the socks, like there's an indent.
That's the I have a blunt shape here for thigh high squish.
Yep.
You can
squish.
I guess when you toggle, you'd have to change that.
It is right. Yeah, in the animator, it turns on and off that blend shape based upon whether the socks are on.
Jeez, I have that.
It comes with a ZinFit.
Yeah. So the first thing you'll see is just with realistic and a matte cap, this already looks pretty good. right? We can make it look a little better. But we're going to first break some expectations of how good texture maps are versus matcaps. You want to bring up the matcap and bring up its properties.
Yep.
Because this is where things get fun. So in here, we're not going to go through the whole thing. We're just going to go to max size. And we're going to select 32. So this is 32 pixels by 32 pixels this will be rendered at. Go ahead and hit apply.
Still looks great.
Yeah, welcome to Matcaps. They are infinitely replicatable. The next step is the part that I think Basic's really waiting for, is the normal map.
Yes.
And if you go into the normal for this, now you can get any normal map. You could pay $700 for every portion of the human body, extremely high detailed, whatever you want. Or you could find some free ones. And yep, it's right there. Now you can see,
definitely
right
knowing
now,
where to get some powerful tools would be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. So right now, not that good. If we do the drop down for the normal map and we tile it a 100, 100, and then we go close.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of like the skin texture.
Yep. Now you remember
Jeez.
when I said, there's some fun things. So one thing that a Basic might realize is we never set up LOD.
Yep.
So you might remember that I have more Unity registry in here, and one of them is the adaptive system for Unity. It basically puts a built-in LOD.
Cool.
But if you go to fade out to gray, which you're already over, this is how you can customize it. And when you use this, you'll see something different happening here. What fade out to gray does is once you get past the first range, so right there, what it's doing is it's graying out the normal map, and which is slowly turning the normal map to being fully gray. And once it's fully gray at the furthest range, it is now 1 kilobyte instead of 300, because it basically gets reduced to 1 pixel.
How do we fix this actual gray here? Is that just changing how our replace instead of like multiply instead of replace or whatever?
So let me see. So you need
What
to
would the
go
real view of it be?
hold on. Why is yours different than mine? Oh, bring up the normal map. You did it to the skin map.
Oh, I'm a dummy. You're right. I got you. Thank you.
I actually didn't know that was possible.
Well,
So
now we do. Oh, and this already
interesting.
has fade out to gray in it too. That makes sense. If we turn off fade out to gray, we are still getting LOD, just as you mentioned. But now we can.
Yep.
Okay, continue.
But now you can customize it basically,
Yes.
and
So we can
change
go,
the
like, all the way
range.
to the end here.
Yep. And the thing is, like, you'll always get it in mind, but the effect of making it right now, you should be seeing it already, but you'll notice that it's only going to show up actually in VRC bullet.
Okay.
And that's because, and I hate this part, Unity's camera, unless you make a VRC reference camera, there's a lot of things you do not see about your avatar.
You meant VRC reference camera? Can you elaborate on that?
So when you're making a world, you make a camera with all your settings for the world, your tone mappers, things like that. If you close that for right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
So yeah, if you bring these, just scroll down. Actually, no, you need to find global stuff. There it is. And there's VRC cam.
I'm curious about the rest of these things too, but one thing at a time.
Oh yeah. My world has a thing that prevents your avatar from being ripped while in it that I'm still working on. It has crasher detection and mitigation systems. Currently, no current crasher works in my world.
That's neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and that includes the Udon corruptor that makes it where you can't join the world and stuff. That's gone from my world. So the VRC cam and the post-processing volume work together to give you what you see as an avatar in the world. The problem is you can't make a world and an avatar in the same scene. Incompatibilities, stuff like that between the systems. Yep. So you actually can almost never see everything about your avatar, like the LODs, things like that. It's literally a matter, once you set that LOD of going into VRC and then, bringing out the avatar and saying, is this the right culling range? No, bring it further out. keep practicing with it. So there are things that get a little annoying. Hopefully those get fixed soon.
Neat. Okay, cool.
Yeah, they want to go back to your avatar.
Yes.
So we basically made a skin in a normal map and a Matcap. And that normal map, because it's so tightly packed, we can actually reduce it down, importing it in lower, but we don't need to do that because of the upgraded steps. So as I said, if you split the avatar, even with a texture map, you overlay one side over the other, boom, you have half the video memory. So we do want to set up the next part. So do you want to bring up your avatar in Blender?
Yep.
So I guess up close, it'll always look at its best detail, like even really close. But then as you go out in the distance, it'll kind of be like easier to run, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And take up a lot less memory actively in your GPU.
Yeah, matter of fact, I to give y'all an idea of how I tested this, and there are several people probably that love it but also hate me at the same time. I may have made a 14 million poly weeping angel statue rigged by my friend to do different poses. Use Lindy's quantum rock, got rid of the stumps, and I put 17 of them around a black cat with 80 people in it, fully Matcapped, and no one lagged from this, but everyone saw it and we're freaking the hell out. Because if you ever used the quantum rock, it is basically, if you are looking at one of the positions, that is not a position that the quantum rock can be. It's only when you turn and randomly find a position that's currently active that for all players, it locks into that position.
Using the quantum rock with a weeping angel is hilarious and not something I would have ever considered. That is brilliant. I love it.
And especially since I have a shader that can add something to another avatar, and I was adding tallies on the people's right arm. So the Whovians looked at their arms because they had been seeing it on accident in their peripheral vision and not noticing it.
That's so funny.
So different people had different amount of marks, and when they decided, okay, let's look away from it, and they found it again, there was another tally.
Another mark. Oh my gosh. God,
so
that's
I had some fun.
That's so fun.
But that was using the full UV overlay, which we are going to show as that. Can you bring up the UV map for your body?
Yes.
And I'm going to hope it's not what I think it is. But no, you're using ZenFit, so it should be what I think it is. Yes, it is. So you'll notice the nails are at the bottom. This is a good thing. So we want to get everything moved away from the nails first. Because remember you said we were going to have to worry about mass. This is the easy way of doing that.
Yep. And are we trying to make a mask here? What's the goal? Like, just so I'm aware.
Well, I'll show you. So just move those hands a little bit away so it's easier to grab all the nails.
Sure. I guess we don't have to really worry. We don't have to worry about the existing textures, do we? If we aren't bothering to use them. That's a good point. Although, do we really have to consider anything about this body UV at this point?
Well, here's the thing. So if you were doing this like later on, if you wanted to do this to your model, the first thing you do is this sort of UV map, and your second UV map is what you do this to. So actually make a second UV map. We'll just go to that stage right off the bat, because then you can even teach how to, oh wait, are you capped on UV maps or?
Nope, got one more. We're good.
Okay.
It's the fourth one.
Yeah, so depending on how you've set up your avatar, like this has everything in it. So it gets a little difficult with UV maps, but by the time we're done with this, it will be a lot easier. So one UV map should be your, asymmetric map. That's the one you put your tattoos, things like that on. Anything that, you don't want to do what we're doing with you. But for this case, what we're going to end up doing is in this new UV map, we're going to need to basically grab just the nails. Once you got that.
Sorry, I was separating my head and my body are one contiguous mesh. I actually just,
actually combined them.
I did the thing. Yeah, they are not only just combined. They are literally one contiguous mesh. So I separated them out just now.
Oh, okay.
Just to be able to own. Yeah, that's why we had overlapping UVs, but now they're fine.
All right. So later on, when you're doing this, obviously you know the tricks once we show this, and it gets a lot easier later because you're going to be making the silliest thing ever. So go on and grab all of the nails. Select them all.
This is probably not the fastest way, but it's not the slowest way either. There we go.
Definitely not the slowest. And then go to UV.
Yep.
And hit reset.
Oh, we're just resetting on the nails. Interesting. Sure.
Now shrink that down to be a square somewhere, just out of the way for the moment. Now, I forget if you can do this in Blender. I know we do it in Unity. Can you invert selection?
Yep.
Go ahead and do that.
Fairly sure.
And do UV reset again.
Yep.
And shrink that down.
Oh, I see what you're doing. And doesn't arbitrary size. It doesn't matter. You could just do one on the left and one on the right.
Not arbitrary, because nails, because we're going to basically paint them with the Matcap, they can be 1 pixel for all we care. It doesn't matter. But we need the UV map, or the normal map, to fit in the other squares. So we want to actually make that bigger.
As big as we can reasonably.
Yep.
Right? So kind of ideally here, what you're looking at is something that's, I don't know, even just this for the sake of demonstration, even just that would be fine.
Yeah. I also noticed you triangled it, I think, but I think it will all work still.
It should still work.
So basically the way we're going to make this is we will have a mask for the nails. We'll have a mask for the skin. There's your 2 Matcaps. And then we'll just take that normal map and put it in that box for the skin. And congratulations, you have everything on your skin done. And that's how you do the massive overlay that saves you the most space. And if you think about it, if you now take more of those squares and you do a alpha, transparency alpha, you can now use multiple materials, get more UVs, more detail if you want, more mass, whatever you want to do. But you can basically have like, okay, this is going to be everything that I have that's gold. You put it all over the same spot. You design your gold Matcap, material. You put it on that spot.
And also to clarify what we were doing with UV resetting, that might be good. I'd be happy to cover it if you didn't. But yeah. Effectively, what that's doing is where we previously had UVs. And of course, what a UV is doing is it's laying out our 2D image onto a 3D object. Just to go back to basics. A UV reset, effectively, is just taking every one of these squares and just making it all the same size, taking up the entire UV space, which normally would be kind of useless, except for when you don't care about the UV. When you don't actually care about mapping your 2D image onto a 3D sphere. But in this case, we're just using it. If you've ever seen UV tile discarding, where you kind of separate it out based on UDIM tiles, the same concept applies here, where we're really just using it to lay out space on a mask. We don't really care about the actual UVs or the shape of the object. Another thing we can do here
is funnier when we get to hair.
Yeah, no kidding. Another thing we can do here is going back to our last class about pathing, we can go ahead and export a UV layout to be able to go make our mask a little bit easier. So I can go ahead here and I can just say body, all UVs, body 2, and then load that up in Photoshop, and we will get all of our UVs. So we can see, the UV for this is pretty boring. Now it's just 2 different squares overlapped with each other, but this will make it a lot easier for us to go ahead and make our mask however we want to make it, right? So in this case, we can just go ahead and paint in I swear I know how to use Photoshop. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I'm really bad at this tool. Don't make me do this. Don't make me do this live. Dear God. But actually, though, why is there no paint bucket over the gradient tool? Am I stupid? I think I'm stupid.
Is it hold and get a different option, or is it somewhere else? Because I only know.
It's been a hot minute. I might just be stupid. Who let me teach?
So,
Who let me be
is there something else we can use besides Photoshop?
There is. Hey, look at this. Free tools. We have free tools. I actually know how to use it better than I know how to use Photoshop. I just got Photoshop in like a couple months ago or a month ago, so I'm still learning. I had Photoshop back maybe a decade ago. Turns out it's changed a lot since then.
Oh yeah, definitely. Prioritizing free tools is huge because it makes it more accessible to you.
Yep.
And then you have more money freed up to put toward other paid things too, right?
Totally.
You really got to prioritize these days.
Yeah,
because some softwares are even thousands of dollars a year, right?
That's a good point. That it's not only just it's both. It's not only just catering towards free things because people like free things, but also use your money wisely. Makes total sense. All right. Well, now I'm back in game plans and actually know what I'm doing. So we're gonna make a mask. We're gonna make one mask target in just our nails, one mask target in the skin. That's pretty easy, right? You have black here. We're gonna
we just gotta make the normal map after that.
Yep. So we can go ahead and make a black layer. And for the normal, how exactly? I guess we can talk about that when we get there.
So when we get there,
start off with a black background where we fill with our foreground color. Boom. Kill that for now. Go ahead and make a second layer. We're going to call this nails. And then we can, I wanted to fill that with transparency. Nails, transparency, bam, bam, bam. Then select white. Okay. Go ahead and select our area, which is just going to be that, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. Although you might want to make it a little bit more constrained than that, but whatever. Paint bucket. Oh my gosh. Who let me teach a class? Who let me have this power? There we go. Bucket fill. Bam. And then same thing over the skin. Transparency. Select an area. Bucket fill. That's done. Change, add our black again. And then we can export one image at a time, right? So we can export this as our skin mask, our mask. Export as skin. Go. Nope. That's not what I wanted at all. Excuse me. Silly. And then the other one is nails. It's going to do the thing again. I wish that they would just use the built-in system dialogue. Bothers the heck out of me that they don't. So annoying. Beautiful.
The interesting part for the normal map,
Yep.
you want to do that as well. Basically, you're going to want to bring into GIMP the normal map.
Yep.
And basically copy paste in that file and just fit it in the space.
Do we want to make that pixel perfect or just close enough?
Well, I mean, it's seamless, but you have, so unlike the one I was doing, I had it set all to polys. I could see with the triangle there, you've actually done a little work on the avatar. So this should work. Just bring it as close as possible.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, someone would have to literally be doing ERP with you to see.
Or enterprise resource planning
for that
people.
too, right?
Sorry. Silly joke. What'd you say?
Oh, I'm sure you could adjust like the settings to work for that situation too, right?
I'm sure you could. Like do a material swap or something. But I don't know why we would need any sort of material swaps for enterprise resource planning. I mean, most people do that outside of VR.
And there are also other ways of doing it, which we will also, see if that works, because there is a little trick which you already know about Matcaps that we can very much cheat this with.
Do we want a black background or no background?
It doesn't matter, I don't think.
Okay.
Because we're going to try it the other way first, because this is sort of okay, you got to make an extra file. We'll try it the other way first because it usually works, but it depends on how the model's set up. So we will find out. That's one funny thing is some of the avatars I've updated for people in the Matcaps, I literally just used their texture as a mask. So I've done some fun things with hyper optimizing people's avatars in weird ways.
Here we are. Everything is in place.
Yep. So let's go back to our Matcaps first.
Yep.
And we will do the skin Matcap on 0.
We are going to have to get our UV back into place here. I'm going to have to export and re-import.
Oh, right.
The FBX.
Well, no, actually, you just got to export it. You don't have to import it. Unity will do it automatically.
Yes. I guess I can still overwrite, can't I? On top of the existing one. That makes sense. Let's go do that real quick and hope nothing messes up. Nothing ever messes up when exporting things out of Blender. It always works perfectly every time.
Everyone in the VC coughs and says bullshit.
There we go.
Yay.
Don't say yay yet.
Small miracles.
Don't say yay yet. It's not done. Taking a sweet time. While we're doing here, sitting here waiting. It has been an hour. It's 9:02. As most of you know, we usually go for 2 hours for the second half to do workshops or whatever. But I do want to give an opportunity here if anybody does have to go. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Ebontain? Things they want to discuss? All right. Well, that makes that easy. Cool.
That was riveting.
riveting conversation. I mean, we're going to be here for a while anyway. Obviously, we usually stay till 10 doing whatever. But I wanted to give it that space since if anybody has to go, respect people's time. Excellent.
Yeah. Did you notice what happened to your avatar's skin by doing this?
What'd you say, sorry?
Did you notice a difference in your avatar's skin already?
I didn't. Oh yeah, it is a little different. Wait, why is that? That doesn't make any sense.
Because it's now higher detailed.
Oh.
Because the Matcap's not going over an entire avatar anymore. It's now going over every poly.
Wait, that shouldn't have happened yet unless you press this.
It won't matter.
Huh.
Oh wow, so even up close it looks a little better.
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Okay, no, the reason that the material isn't applied yet.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. It was different. You're right. Actually, I'm not sure why our UV to blend switching to UV3 doesn't immediately change it here. That's interesting.
Yep. So go on and throw in the skin mask on that.
Yep. Masking, skin, fix.
And take a look at the nails. Let's
UV3.
make sure that works.
Beautiful. I don't know why we're getting the other issues. I guess we can ignore those. Also, why are we seeing the polys?
So is that just the V that affects like the way it looks there? Like when you zoom in, like it gets that like circular structure around it, and then the rest looks different.
That's fascinating. Something's a little quirky here. That's really interesting too. When we get close and goes away.
Why is the grid frame showing up?
There is something a little quirky going on. I think where that's going to be
I have never seen this before, but let's go on and put the second Matcap on first.
Yeah, an exercise for the reader. Why is this super messed up? All right, Matcap 1.
Yeah, because we were seeing weird stuff like that when we imported it in. So I'm wondering if there isn't something like maybe we're using the wrong FPS.
I'm curious. Anyway, yes, so let's go ahead now and Matcap 1. Same thing, we're applying to UV3 here with just our nails. Full replace.
Because, new ones don't have anything.
I guess we can just go put on our favorite color of nail polish. Hey, let's go. Look at that.
And we can do even better than that.
Yep.
Go on and hit the Matcap again. Yep. And this time, make the window nice and big, because just pick whatever you like.
Yeah, no kidding.
To give everyone an idea, this is about 500 megabytes of my Matcaps. I have 21 terabytes of Matcaps.
Absolutely crazy person.
Oh, wow, nice.
Jesus.
Yeah. When I say I use Matcaps a lot, I first learned this in the game design industry because I was hearing, oh, yeah, I'll just use some Matcaps and we'll do this, thus, and so. But I was a programmer and I was a creative lead, so I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. All right, so right now you notice the skin normal is there.
Yeah.
So before we actually go and switch the normal out, I'll show you the other trick before we do that.
Yep.
So if you want to scroll down back to the Matcap we're using now, Matcap 1.
Yep.
And there's this nice little slider somewhere, called normal strength.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Just make the normals not even affected.
Yep. And now if you go, so what a lot of this is, I think, let's put in that new normal map just to see if that fixes it.
I think we're going to have some problems, but I'm curious to see what happens. Yeah, that's what I was worried would happen. I guess we have to specify the offset, but even then the tiling, that won't tile correctly.
Yep. Switch the UV to 3 and then switch the tiling to 1 to 1.
Oh.
Yeah, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
It's great up close. What is it doing from range? You officially found something I've never seen before.
That's fascinating. My guess is just yeah, I'm sure we could. My uninformed guess here is probably just that because we didn't use exact masking, like we masked a larger area than our UVs.
Yeah, it might be overlaying. Or...
Yeah, it could be some weird effect from that because I was pretty loose with the mask because I'm used to just being able to kind of guesstimate. Interesting, but you're right. No, that's actually worked. That
sampling.
That 1-to-1, I wouldn't have thought about that. Of course, you can switch the tiling back to 1-to-1 because of our UV space. We don't have to worry about tiling it super deep to be able to get a lot of detail because every poly takes up almost the entire UV square.
Oh, fix the normal map, by the way.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that'll do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
that's gorgeous.
And
that's really well done.
Elastic sampling.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's
nope,
not quite. And we can also improve the normal map itself as well, right? Of course, we can go back over here and change all the other stuff that we've discussed in the past. Fade out to gray. There's a couple map filtering Kaiser, right?
Other stuff. Observe coverage, read write, and create from grayscale. Actually, no, don't create from grayscale on this one.
Okay. I mean, now we get some of that LOD back. So we can see that it fades out from a distance and then comes back into play. That's actually fantastic. That's really cool.
Yep. And that's currently being imported at 2K per poly.
Yep. Extreme detail.
And we can, of course, tile it. Anything else we need. Obviously, though, after class, we'll have to figure out exactly how that happened because I've never seen it on any avatar.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Matter of fact, maybe try switching it back to UV0, maybe?
On what?
Try switching the Matcaps back to UV0.
Well, they were on UV1 for some reason, which is already wrong.
Yeah. We'll have to figure that out because that is a new one.
Yep. That's pretty strange.
It could be like maybe because we broke that those two apart, maybe there was something weird there.
Oh.
Let's see. You've got the avatar I had done cloned, right?
Yes.
Let's go and open that up.
Sure. Clothed is a loose term as long as we look at it from the front.
All right, so this is the one that I just did. This is the same base, by the way, doing the same technique.
Yep. We can go on in here and take a look. Same concepts.
Yep. And I even imported a lower level just because I'm, not the ERP type. I did have this issue because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I was trying to discard and did it wrong.
Yeah, we were discussing this. This was specifically you were trying to basically remove some things off the UV map, which is not technically possible, right? We can put them into a tiny corner, but we can't actually remove them entirely from the UV map.
Yeah, so this is me learning Blender and doing it, and well, as you can see, it's still work in progress for me.
Yes. Continuous learning and growth.
And if you want to show the hair,
yes.
So this is the same technique. All of the UVs are over each other. Same with the bow.
I'll show off the hair material here. So once again, no albedo, no normal, not even. We're just using Matcaps. In fact, this one doesn't even have a Matcap image. It's just a color with a replace blend mode, and that's it. Ebontain and I were just discussing this before class. Why would we use a Matcap here instead of just using an albedo color right up here? And it does have a different effect, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it gets fun. And show the bow real quick. This is actually a funny thing that I did here. Because, welcome to the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, just one Matcap. Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Replace mode, normal strength. Normals don't even matter. You do have a normal map in here. Ground, use the cave sand?
Yes, I use caves.
Sure, if it works. That's fascinating. Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks great.
There's a bunch of fun stuff that you get to do whenever you're playing with these Matcaps, because eventually you're just like, I've messed up, but I've made this effect. I want to use this somewhere.
We were just discussing before class too. I guess I could bring this up a little bit. Modifying normals using split normal data in Blender. I think we could have a really interesting discussion with that. We can
practice. We can try that out to fix that one piece on the hair.
Fix that one piece where? Oh, on that.
Oh yeah.
Where?
You want to show them that?
Where in particular? What do you want to see?
Like literally dead center of the screen.
Oh yeah, the pink area on the left.
Well, no, that's just because I haven't. If you look at the direction, like how the hair is going back, but the normal mask is going down, or the Matcap is.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Sure, I see. Well,
it follows every other piece of hair. That one, it doesn't follow. It should. It's not. I'm not sure what's happening there.
I'm actually not sure I understand exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about this area or this area?
See how that area right there.
Orientation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see how the orientation is still going straight down?
Yeah.
And it should be flowing backwards the way it's set up, but it decided to completely ignore that. Yet on every other part of the hair, like if you follow the hair down, it actually follows the curve properly.
Yeah, I think that's just a Matcap issue. I mean, we can still cover split normals. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to figure out that issue in particular, because I think the way Matcaps work, we're not going to be able to solve that directly.
Well, I'm not sure, because look at the bottom of the hair. This is where I get confused, because watch it follow all the way to the tip. See the curve in it?
Yeah.
So it does follow a curve.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I was confused, is that the normals are set, from what I could see, to go from the front to back on that hairstyle, and nope.
Weird, but yeah.
Does the angle affect it at all?
Well, yeah,
those would be on a different angle, right?
Yeah, I think all of this data, normal data, is correct, and it's just the way that the Matcap is viewed. Because effectively, when we consider what this Matcap is doing, it's effectively making anything that faces us horizontally is going to get a lot of bright light, and then anything that faces kind of fairly far downwards is going to get a lot of bright light. So facing us horizontally or slightly upwards, this entire line here is basically aimed right back at us, if that makes sense, like the normals are, which is why we're going to get that line kind of going all the way across.
Tips are confusing, because it actually follows the model. If you look at like the tip on the bottom of the hair, like
this tip down here at the bottom is this line at the bottom. This is what we're seeing. I think this actually makes sense from what I can tell.
No matter what angle you look at it from, is the thing. This was so weird about
because it wouldn't look the same way if we are, for example, looking at it from the bottom here. I'm trying not to show areas of the body.
Look at the ones that are going. See on the left side of the screen, those ones that are angling off.
Yeah.
Take a look at those. Just a little bit out.
Just when we get over there, I think a lot of this just has to do with how the normals.
Yeah.
Work.
I think it has to be doable, because you can see it's looking at the 3D normal. Like I have an extra tool. Unfortunately, it's licensed, so I can't send it to you.
Sure.
But one of the things on Matcaps is their orientation is the orientation of the poly, which is weird because I've tried rotating that poly.
Yep.
And it still ignores it. But I have another piece of hair, which unfortunately is a friend's avatar, so I couldn't send it to you. But it has a similar effect, and the normal map or the Matcap follows the hair sideways.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
very weird. Like that's something we'll have to look at later on because this is the first hair I've seen that doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I'd love to look at that a little bit more. We can definitely discuss the split normals thing. I think that's kind of a cool concept to begin with. If I pull up the humanoid base here, so the concept of split normals is by default when we're looking at what a normal map is doing, or not normal map in this case, what normals are, is it's looking at the direction orthogonal to any given face or vertex. So basically, it's the line that points straight outwards at a 90-degree angle. We can actually visualize those in Blender by looking at our viewport overlays. I believe it is over silly high screen scaling so that everybody can actually read the text right over here in the mesh edit mode overlays. So we can look at these different normals here and get these little crazy guys. And we can go ahead and scale them really far down by changing the size to something more reasonable. Also worth noting, if you ever need to, in a slider in Blender, do a little bit more of a granular adjustment, you can hold Shift while you click and drag, and it goes a lot slower. Really useful to know. But anyway, so we can see here that we are getting a line pointing outwards, these cyan lines, from every face, showing us the orthogonal direction. The reason why we have some of these interior ones is because we have a lot of interior polys here of other parts of the hair that weren't cleaned up.
Okay.
Ideally, in hair, you clean up all these polys, but it's a lot of work to do this. This is because of how hair is made using paths. I can show off another day. In fact, I have another creator I want to be bringing on here in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Like learning some of the like proper 3D modeling technique too.
Exactly. She does a ton of different hair. I'm really interested in having her on to talk about how to construct hair, and then she also has a lot of tattoos and stuff like that. It'd be fun to discuss.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I guess would like doing proper quads and then kind of like doing like the Matcaps be the way to kind of go about optimizing and getting the best results?
Yeah, definitely. I think that would definitely be a thing you can do. And coming in here and cleaning up a lot of this mesh manually, but that kind of sucks to do. It's really annoying to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to go in and select all these. One way I've seen people do it in the past, though, is by literally just go over and select everything you can visibly see.
Oh, like on the outside?
Yep. Just select it all.
And then remove it on the inside?
Exactly. Just select, invert.
Like
and then you have a
like
whole bunch of
like
interior polys here. Right. A whole bunch of them. You could just go in and delete and you'd never see them. That obviously didn't work perfectly.
There's probably other techniques we could use.
Exactly. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of automated technique. I doubt it. I doubt it exists now that I think about it. But it'd be technically possible to make some sort of technique that actually programmatically looked at the avatar from every angle, drew a line out, see which poly it intersects with, and get every like exterior polygon, which would be interesting in and of itself. But
there's a lot of possibilities with the power of current hardware these days.
Oh, for sure. And the modular like modularization of Blender with plugins means you can basically do anything you want to for the most part, if you want to put the effort in to program it. That is. So to continue on the topic of split normals, so we see these cyan lines here. These are going outwards. That you can effectively rotate the polygon to change that. Right, I can go ahead and rotate any given polygon and see all those change. But otherwise, you can't just.
Were you able to clone the avatar?
You can't just change which direction it is willy nilly. But you can do that with split normal data. So the cool thing about split normal data in Blender is that you can make these normals face whichever direction you want to artificially, which will change both how they respond to light in the world and, importantly, in this case, how they respond to Matcaps.
Say it again.
So I can go ahead here and change our mesh mode
or like
reload it.
from.
Yeah, let me reload it.
I have a hard time processing myself talking when other people are talking as well. My brain doesn't like it. So there's a couple of different options here, right? And we have the display vertex normals, which displays these dark blue lines going out from every vertex. The cyans, which is the standard normals of faces, And then we have this split normal mode, which are purple. The split normal mode is Blender's terminology for being able to make the normal face an artificial direction. So we can kind of change whatever direction we want it to face. So I can go ahead and pick whatever mesh I want here and go ahead and go to mesh normals over here, which is Alt-N with a shortcut, or if you ever want to be able to select anything arbitrarily in Blender really easily, you can add it to your quick favorites menu. You can right click on any control in Blender, add it to your quick favorites, and then you can hit Q and open up your quick favorites and work with it, which is really cool. So going here, we can go ahead and modify our normals as we see fit. An easy option is just rotating them. And we can actually see those lines move. And we can see the lighting in Blender as well. We can see that lighting kind of shift around. So we can make our normals face any artificial direction we want to, which will affect our Matcaps in a really interesting way.
Yeah.
This is used commonly with, again, as I mentioned earlier, the high poly to low poly model conversions, as well as to achieve some special effects.
Independently arms.
And I think, yes, Dro is ready to show off some coolness. Neat.
So that all comes off the shoulder, and it's independent to each shoulder.
So if I had shoulders, I could show it off a bit better, but I do not.
That's still really cool, though.
Yeah, that's whenever I'm in half body and not, currently fixing my Quest 2, that's usually how my avatar acts.
Very cool.
Which would be great during DJing because you've got the wings with the emissives on them, and as you're doing stuff, the wings are moving.
I have a question. I know I'm late, which I do apologize for that. Do you know how to make hair? If you don't mind me asking.
Yes. So I have attempted to make hair in the past. It was never very good, but I do. It's often typical hair, and obviously there's plenty of different ways to make things. But most hair, like this style of hair, is made using paths. You can do some really cool things. I'm not going to show it off right now, just because it would take a decent amount of time. That's a class in and of itself.
Yeah.
But I can show it off to you later. Paths in Blender are really cool. They're effectively I don't even know how to properly describe paths ahead of time, but they're a way to be able to make arbitrary mesh data and then kind of rasterize it into a mesh after the fact. So you can kind of define a curve going downwards and then define what mesh gets laid on top of that curve and at what scaling. So you can kind of imagine this as a mesh laid on top of a curve that gets scaled downwards as it goes farther down the curve.
Interesting.
I'm hoping to
I did found some outfits that I found for free. So I was like, yes, I found something that is perfect without making the whole entire painful thing. So
awesome.
I found the outfits and I just had to put them in, but I was going to do the hair first before I do, because that's going to be the hard part, and the outfits, but I couldn't find the one pair of stockings though, like the picture, which I probably have to make one, which that's going to suck.
But yes, I would love to bring in, I was actually just talking about this before, I would love to bring in a creator I know who makes hair, so that she can talk about her process and how she goes about doing it. Hopefully in about a month or so, I think we'll be able to bring her in.
Okay, cool. I just only need to get rid of the hair that is already came with the Avi. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with you on that, and we can start working through that stuff.
Yeah.
So you want to show off the last two things since we've got like 30 minutes?
Yep.
So go over to the Ebontain Unity.
Yep.
And I'll show something I'm working on. Not that one, the avatar one. So go to updated avatars.
Updated avatars.
It's right below.
Got you.
Yep. Load up this Mallow here. Now we all know Mallow. One of my VTuber friends literally has a skull that looks like Mallow, and I was like, oh well, that looks exactly like Mallow. Why don't I just update a Mallow for you? So this is fully matte-capped, and I think you are I've seen that blue again on this. I definitely think you're having an issue at this point.
Yeah, that's super strange.
So let's do it this way. Let me load this avatar in the world real quick.
Sure.
So weird.
Yep, that looks a little bit better.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. Something's off.
Weird.
But yeah, so you can see on the skull here, this is using some of my favorite Matcaps. Oh, I just realized there's a Cyberbarian in it.
Hi.
Hey, Cyber.
Hello.
It's really cool. I love to see how this is made.
Yeah, so This one, like a lot of the Matcaps we're working on, are very interesting. But what I wanted to show you next was like how to make a Matcap material,
Swap back to
like from scratch, basically.
swap back to Discord audio.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. There we go.
You're good.
I forgot which button I was on.
Yep.
But we'll show how to do a Matcap material. So if you want to bring up just, let's go ahead and close the world because we're pretty much done with that.
Sure.
And then hopefully when we load the next scene, it might even.
My computer will thank you.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. I do 3 Unity files on an Acer 5 or Acer 3 Nitro laptop. I'm not joking. This thing hits 200 degrees with the burst compiler.
Hilarious.
But go on and bring up the class file for your avatar, and we're going to do your chains real quick. Your avatar. Oh,
Sure.
yours is in there. Okay.
Yep. I just hit one and showed the other.
At least this one's working. So we'll grab the chain, and we're going to make a nice little. We're going to ignore the. We're going to ignore that. We're going to be painting over the jewels for right now.
Okay.
So when you're thinking about making one of these, like a chain or something like that, we all know what we normally do. Let's make a Poyomi shader for one of the chains.
Okay.
All right. So obviously, the first thing we will do shading realistic, and then let's just activate Matcap 0 and select any Matcap you like. It can be one of the. So these first ones, I'll let you know. These are someone decided to see if an AI could make Matcaps,
Yeah,
and
definitely AI
I looked
slop.
at them. Yeah, and I looked at them and said, even though they failed epically, they could make interesting effects.
Oh no,
You
it
know?
absolutely could. So I should go find like some sort of metal or something. I don't know. Pick a thing, anything. Sure,
Yeah,
let's go with
anything
that.
you want.
It's interesting.
All right, so you get an interesting effect. So let's go to normals.
Yep.
And if we type in metal whenever we bring up the normal,
Wait, 3 years?
yep, there is brushed metal on the top row.
Ooh, pretty.
Yep. So we can do the fix that it's not marked as a normal map. I don't know why that's happening. And then let's tile it.
Okay. Like 50 and 50 or something. Ooh, cool.
Oh,
So
wow, that's
just
really
like
neat.
with the skin, it's the same way when you're doing these metals, but what you can see that we couldn't see on the skin is look at where those colors are. And as you move around it, those colors go with you. Sort of like your
Oh.
tattoo you have.
Yep.
So this is the best part about this is this sort of learning how the Matcap works. But what's the most interesting is we go back to Matcaps and activate a second one.
Yep.
This is where we were making a Matcap material. Now, obviously, we would, not be bringing these in at full resolution, but we could activate, say, aluminum, whichever one looks the best for you, and give it some replace.
I don't think we've discussed these blending modes yet. If we want to talk about that real quick too.
Yeah, you want to do that one because you know that the most.
I mean, I'm not particularly good at some of these, but I can discuss
Oh.
at least some of them. The
Yeah.
first 3 are the 3 I'm actually familiar with. Effectively, this is determining how we are applying the color on top of the existing color. And it applies them one at a time, right? So we get our albedo first, and then we get our Matcap 0, Matcap 1, et cetera, et cetera. And which blending mode we use determines, well, okay, so for any given pixel, it goes and looks up the normal direction. Then it goes and grabs the associated pixel from the Matcap to determine what color to show you. So it's grabbing some color of gray, some grayscale, because we're using aluminum. So since it's grabbing a gray, that's probably not the best. Like a rainbow color would be better for me to demonstrate, but whatever. It's then determining how we add the color to the existing color. And we can do that dynamically from 0 to 1. We can do it in a gradient. But anyway, the replace effectively is going to replace the color entirely. So if I do 1 on replace, our previous Matcap doesn't exist. We might as well turn it off because it's replacing the color wholesale. Multiply, and this comes from color theory. If you ever worked in Photoshop or image editing, the same concepts apply. Multiply is effectively modifying the color by multiplying the values of the RG and B together. So if you're doing a gray, it's going to basically just darken the existing color, but you can do some really interesting stuff with that with more rainbow colors than just a gray. And add
Right.
is literally adding the RG and B values together.
I have to go, guys. Take care of yourself.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, take care. I'll give you a
Take
link
care.
to the class once it's posted.
And I'm sure there's like reasons you'd
Thank
want to
you.
combine
Thank you very
specific ones
much.
too.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
and that's
Thank
very
everyone.
common, right? So
Bye-bye.
in fact, I saw Ebontain doing this on a couple of the other things where we have multiple, replace, multiply, and add, all in various amounts to get the effect.
Now, unlit add,
Like understanding like why you combine stuff is definitely huge. Like that really help.
Yep.
Yeah, so unlit add is an interesting one because you actually touched on a different version of this already. And that's the minimum light that the Matcap receives.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, as if I might have been too far back. So that is the unlit ad is basically an ad that ignores light. So it's
Okay.
basically like
Right.
min light, but specific to the Matcap.
So that probably has no effect when lighting's off on the scene. It probably is no different than just normal ad. Neat.
Yep. So it has a little bit different effect, which, when you get into making, matte caps, like, here's a fun one. Actually switched over to my new avatar that's not finished because we got to show that wing off.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. This one?
Yeah. So this is very not finished. Matter of fact, it's not even fully modeled yet, but go on and zoom in on the wing and show everyone the tarnished silver I made.
Yes.
Oh, and turn the light source back on. So this is tarnished silver that I made using 4 matte caps.
Really trippy effect.
So basically, these are all rendered in at 32 by 32 like I normally do. So this is ultra lightweight. Basically my biggest thing to teach about matte caps is here's where the feature is, play with it. Like literally that's the best thing to do. Have a sphere, have, something textured. Just use the same material on it and see how it affects everything and just have fun. It is basically the biggest thing you could do. Because if you look at like the bone here, that's literally just like this very generic. If you want to bring that up and show it. Yep. That's literally all it is. And that's just a pearl bead that just looks good as a bone.
Yep. I see you have some masking in here for the bones. Yep. Makes sense.
Yep. Which, as I said, this was very thrown together. And when I say last second, they had a roof collapse and they moved into a new studio. And then we wanted to do this for my anniversary party. And they were trying to work from home, do this in 1 week, having lost their files and redoing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see
Sounds
here.
painful.
I can see how these other Matcaps 1 through 3 have the body mask as well. So it's
and so the 1 through
materials.
3 are all the silver. And what you might notice is like on this one, the red, that's the red hue you're getting.
Yep.
And then if you go up to 2, there's the dark partition. Hello, tongue? And then UV1 is more of the, that's where basically the silver color comes in.
You can see this is all being applied via emission. This is another good point. Normally, you have to have some form of blending in, and these are all zeros, so you wonder how it's getting added at all. This is all getting added through emissions, effectively. And here's it blown out, so you can see exactly what effect it's adding versus none at all. I believe intensity does. Intensity does still work with emission strength 0. How does that work?
Yes, because it's Matcap 1 and 0 is not being affected. 2 and 3 are in different positions.
Interesting.
So like that's the fun part is remember you're looking at a sphere. So if black on Matcap 3 is present, then Matcap 2 is looked at. If 2 is black, then Matcap 1 is looked at. It actually goes back in reverse order. So sometimes blending is not needed. Blending is more of I'm giving priority to this Matcap, even though it's a lower number. In what way?
Neat.
So yeah, it breaks several rules of how things usually work.
It's great to learn.
We can actually show one other thing. If you go to the properties, let's say of this Matcap, just do the drop down.
Yep.
So do pan 1-1.
Panning. We haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, and this is how I did that gold effect, and what you could also do with this.
Ridiculously
cool
effect.
The Matcap is literally just spinning, and its effects being applied differently based on how that sphere is now rotating in the mesh. Yep, and you can see it on every aspect of this avatar.
Ridiculously cool.
And the good thing about this is, let's say you're thinking of offsetting, left or right. You can actually use pan to do that. But one thing you didn't notice also, my border is not on 0 here. And this is because I've actually zoomed in by doing that on the matte cap itself.
Sure.
So I wanted to get a specific section of the matte cap at that point.
Interesting. Very cool.
So it's as I said, it's a lot of trial and error just because of, you're basically playing with something that can play with normals, play with spheres, play with every object differently. And a lot of it comes down to purely your imagination when you're looking at this, because if you're like, let's say, making a celestial dragon instead of a demonic dragon like I am, that actually looks a lot better for it.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm not using the silver on it. The reason the silver is still on this avatar, I didn't want to lose it. I love the look so much that I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop trying to make the stuff for this avatar. I don't want to lose this material. Give me a little bit to make a copy somewhere.
Interesting. Really cool stuff.
Yep. And the masking works. You can see that it's not overriding the Matcap 0, even though that's the lowest and should be overridden just because of masking.
Yep.
So you can do some fun things with this. So this avatar, when it's in its new state or its finalized state, is going to have individualized scales on the body that are modeled, then normal to make more detailed. And I'm going to have 5 material slots just for the scales with UV discard of everything else. And we are going to use basically up to 20 matte caps and a bunch of mass to make hyper detailed scales using very little memory. Because if you look at like this matte cap that we're rotating that's doing all this effect,
Yep.
you
Tiny.
can actually see its memory. Oops. If you go back to the other screen.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you look to
right
the
here.
right of the matte cap itself, you can
Yeah.
see actually how much video memory that matte cap is.
Tiny.
And if you look at, let's see, do you have your actual base avatar?
My actual base? You mean like my avatar scene?
Yeah.
I can pull it up. It'll take a minute.
We can pull that up and show a little difference here because this is going to be fun. Because like one of the things we were saying is like I was originally going to think, okay, let's bang through this and build. Then we found that issue, and it's like, okay, let's back off. Maybe we'll do a different class another day when we figure out the grid issue and everything.
Yep.
But so if you want to, while that's loading, bring up the skin of the new avatar
Sure.
that we were working on, and we'll just sort of show a difference here. Yeah. Yeah, please something wrong. But yeah, no, click on it and let's look at the normal map. So you can see we're doing right now 5 megabytes for the normal, which obviously we could lower this down. It's not compressed, things like that. And then if we look at the matte cap itself, we haven't compressed this, so it's 1.37 kilobytes. And the mask is 2. Now the mask will not count towards the video or the memory. The other 2 will.
Interesting.
Now,
The
when we
mask
look at
won't
the
count towards.
other-
I guess that makes sense.
Yep. The mask just is saying here's the polys to use. So once it's compiled, the mask is sort of its usefulness is over.
Interesting. Okay.
And so for this skin, we're doing 1.37 kilobytes. We can count that by 2. Not that it matters. Let's call it 3 kilobytes.
Sure. Nothing. Right.
We're doing 2.8 megabytes for the normal map, which is also uncompressed, or 5 megabytes. So let's say 5.59. Let's just call it 6 megabytes. That sounds fair.
Sure.
So when this loads, the fun part's going to be how big is your texture map?
Yeah. Comparing it, and boy, my current version, my Avi, is a crime on texture memory. Nobody look. I'll show it off just so that people can cringe a little bit.
I'm planning on looking.
That beautiful number right there.
351.
I'm so
and we can bring
sorry.
it down to under 10 with Matcaps.
I'm so sorry.
But
it's a test.
yeah,
version.
so let's look at the material for the body skin.
Yep.
And so what you're seeing is we have an alpha map, we've got a texture, we got a normal map. These all are 100% used. We've got the AO maps, which we didn't even put on.
Yep. And
Matcap version.
and I have full texture matte caps going on as well.
Yes.
So we have 5 megabytes in this matte cap, and this is used for tattoos that aren't even on the Avi right now. I got rid of those off the body right now, so these aren't even used. Whoops.
Yep. So a lot of these can be reduced down, but you can see where a lot of your savings comes in
Yep.
is the fact that, that texture map is going the problem with texture maps versus matte caps also is there is an extra rendering layer with textures because you're putting it on a 3D object and it has to count light. Matte caps count light automatically. So lighting doesn't increase processing very much on a matte cap.
Really interesting.
Yeah, there's a ton of savings you get just by doing that. And, I'm sure, Basic will be working on this quite a bit on a separate version of the avatar, just going, okay, what can I do? What went wrong? Things like that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really interested in diving into Matcaps on a lot of this. There's tons of
what
ideas.
We could do, actually, it's interesting right now. Actually, no, we have 14 minutes. Yeah, we could do that. Do you want to? You said you're not using that matte cap down there, right?
Correct.
You want to just grab the skin tone matte cap and
toss it in and see what happens? Sure.
Yeah, because I think that texture is literally just the body, so it would overwrite the nails. But
I'm actually going to go ahead and make a separate copy anyway.
Oh yeah, that would be
to not mess up my existing
nails,
Abby.
You can still mask out.
Yes.
Without boosting them up. But the other thing is, and this is especially for texture maps, you can put the left nails over the right nails and have their memory.
Yep, makes sense. Yeah, if you're not trying to do some special textures on top of those things, but even then you can just do a separate UV for those and use decals, which we haven't even touched on decals, but that can be super useful. One thing about decals, and I've seen people use this for tattoos in the past, is that you can make basically focused UV sections of your Abby that give part of the Abby. Like if you have a back tattoo, for example, you can make just the back as one big UV map in the center, take the rest of the Abby and make it a little tiny thing down in the corner. And effectively, you can use a lower resolution decal to get the same resolution on the avatar itself, because your UV of the section you're actually applying it to is much, much larger relatively, which means you can use a decal that's much smaller resolution.
Yeah, you have to grab the skin from the other folder. But
yep. Are we going to be trying to get rid of the texture entirely here, just to try this out?
Just to try it out. Like, sure. Obviously, we don't have a mask for the nails, but
right. So
that's easy to do because this is a fully done avatar, so you could actually get that done pretty easy.
Yep. Absolutely. We wanted to grab a skin matte cap. Go back over here.
Yeah, just grab the skin matte cap you use there.
Yep, this one, and then do we want the normals as well?
Yeah, we might as well grab the normals. So no reason not to.
Yeah, it should only take a minute.
Yeah, matter of fact, we could actually make a specific mask just for the nails pretty easily because the nails are nicely separated in your normal map or your texture map.
I like to avoid doing the mask, I think, just because timing concerns. We're running pretty low. Yep. I do want to be respectful of people's time at the 2-hour mark. Yep. And give people a chance to ask quick questions before we wrap up.
Oh, you want the other normal map?
Yeah.
Not the squared one.
The other normal map, the one that we grabbed here. I guess I'll just do this instead, right?
Yep.
Really, Unity. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and that's you can type in micro or skin and pull it up. And I believe it's near the top.
Wow.
There she is.
There we go. Sorry for the delay. Gorgeous. And then Matcap 1, whatever, it doesn't matter. 1, 0.
Yeah, and to give you an idea, so I went on and pulled up your current avatar details.
Yep, I'm so sorry.
So if you want to hear something fun about what's happening that's unique on your avatar that you might not know, or might not have noticed. Did you notice your uncompressed size is smaller than your compressed size?
Interesting.
Yeah, this is one of the problems with texture maps is that weird thing that happens with them with that.
That's super strange. Why is that?
That is because I think you did something wrong on your UVs.
Huh. Cool.
I'm not 100% sure because I'd have to go over the avatar to fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, I mean, I can always go ahead and do that too. Right now, I was just in the process of adding a whole bunch of new clothes, so I'm in a bit of a weird state right now where the Abby is hyper unoptimized. It is what it is. We'll re-optimize. Okay, so there we go. So we have a Matcap going on here. We have our place. Why is that not showing anything?
You have a mask?
I do have a mask. You're absolutely correct. Thank you. It's for the tattoos.
Yeah, you just see none on that, basically.
Yeah, still nothing. Why would that be?
Shading.
Shading settings shouldn't affect it, right? Also, don't know why it's still showing the old image there. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you were using that shading mode.
I like multi-layer math.
Oh, you do?
Yep, big fan. It provides a toon style shading. It's not quite the same, but it provides basically multi-layer math provides multiple different colors of shadows. It's not a gradient. Rather, it chooses to apply that one color or not based upon how close to the light source it is. Wow, what has happened here? That's
Something happened to
incredible.
Mobu.
Normal map. Remember the first that border should be 0. The second thing is on the normal map you want to highlight.
Oh,
because
yep.
we didn't.
Got you. Of course, we haven't done the UVs.
And you are also using, I believe, minimum light.
Yes, I am.
And this is just because of the previous class.
Yep. Still not showing correctly.
That's interesting.
Huh.
What light? Click the light thing.
I tried both. Neither one seemed to actually do anything.
Oh.
Well, this is what we get for trying to apply it to an existing material. We might have some other weirdness going. The other Matcaps perhaps could be.
It's also possibly your AO map.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that could do it too. Is there an easier way to clear out textures than going to this and selecting none at the top?
Click the picture and hit delete.
Oh shoot! You can just do that. Wow, you learn something every day.
It's gonna be funny if it's the AO map. That would be sweet, hilarious.
No, still not ideal.
You've got some other things in here.
There must be something else going on.
Reflections.
I doubt that.
That might be that might be what's causing the your uncompressed to be lower than your compressed, or it being reversed might be something that.
Oh, emission strength. It was super high. That's funny as heck.
That explains things.
Well, there we go. Look at that skin. Obviously, the nails are going to be completely fucked, but these things happen.
But here's a fun part. So, what's your avatar sizing?
Oh, the actual number. Curious how much it's actually would have changed from this. Still the same, but I think that's probably just because it hasn't recalculated properly.
It hasn't recalculated yet.
I'm not sure it's going to. Usually switching the tab and switching back works, but I don't think we're going to get that today.
Yeah, then BRC SDK goes, nah, I'm going to take the day off.
Yeah, pretty much. But we would have saved a whole bunch, 5, 6 megabytes.
Yep. Actually, I don't know if you can you just rename, if you rename the avatar, can you upload it and have it in a
I can re-upload it and just go check. I'm not sure. I have some weird changes in here, but I think I can just go do that. It's not that big of a deal.
I forget how to do stuff like that because I'm always just publishing the same avatar all the time.
Yeah, I have 1,000 different versions of my Avi, and the way you do that is in the avatar, the read avatar. You can go down to your pipeline somewhere, the manager, and detach,
Cool.
and then you have to go give it a new name and a new thumbnail, right? So I can do trans class 2025-0114 capture from scene capture autofix.
This into chat.
Build. Go. Now this is going to take the last 3 minutes that we have available. So we should probably do some final remarks. Any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions?
Okay, I was going to ask, how do I rotate an object in Blender?
I will happily share that with you. I'm also going to recommend you a tutorial. Strongly recommend you a tutorial.
Oh, I definitely wanted to touch on that as well.
Yeah, that's your stats, by the way, if you want to see the confusion.
Hold on, if you want to look.
Where do you post them?
In the chat for Hall Technology.
Got you.
I'm just trying to rotate.
Confused.
Oh, yeah. That's fascinating.
On your keyboard for rotate.
Oh, yeah. Having like some resources in the channels would be good. And then also like an official structured thing would be great. That takes you from the ground up to like industry level kind of optimizations and workflows.
Yeah,
like that'd be great.
Absolutely. I can definitely come up with a little bit more structure. I have a couple of different useful plugins right now, various different things that I've used pinned in the channel. So you can take a look at those. But you're right, something from the ground up would be good.
It's definitely nice to go through the ground up all the way to like the high level stuff, so you don't miss any parts and you kind of get the inner workings of things.
Yep, and I should go through and find a compilation of various different tutorials that I have used, and then other ones that I think are good.
Well, for sure.
One thing that I always recommend for everybody who wants to get into Blender is to do the donut tutorial by Blender Guru. It's kind of infamous because everybody's done it, and I think everybody's done it for good reason. Personally, I think that if you want to get into Blender, and especially if you don't know the UI and don't know a lot of the basic steps, you should dedicate a couple of hours of your life, go and do that tutorial. You'll thank me later, I hope. It is quite good.
Oh, yeah. And I guess if you know enough of the foundational techniques and different things, like you can build just about anything once you learn like the actual techniques to create like 3D models.
Oh, for sure, and that's one of the best things about 3D modeling. And one of the things that I kind of started doing when I first started learning is I would just take a random object around me. Like right now, I have like a water bottle in front of me. I have a rubber duck. I have like an audio interface and a DAC. All right, being able to just take a random object and model it from the ground up and come up with a result. There's a lot of good tutorials on Blender around like making like a product ad. Like people like there's like a phone ad tutorial. The idea is, you go model a phone, you set up all the materials in Blender, you set up like animations like you see in like ads for like phones on TV, right? A lot of those cool little snappy effects.
Yeah.
Really nice way to touch on all of the different aspects of Blender. I think the donut tutorial is a great introduction because it does try to focus on all the different workflows. It starts with modeling, then goes into sculpting, goes into materials and texturing, as well as going into animation and final composition, all that jazz. It's really good.
One thing for optimization, since we were in a hurry, we didn't do this, so it's not going to be as good of an impact, but always crunch compress all your textures, everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and on high. We didn't even do that on the Matcap or anything, but I figure just for a basic, there's so much clothing on this avatar.
Yep, it's a lot right now, and again, I need to go in and crunch compress everything. Crunch compression, for what it's worth, it's effectively reducing download size. That's the only thing it's actually doing, but that's still very valuable.
Well, unless you're using DXT1, then it actually does do some texture optimization too.
Oh, really? That's cool to know. Today I learned
the whole optimization. If you end up playing around and fully matte capping your avatar, like a second version.
Sure.
Then don't crunch compress everything. We'll go and have a talk some other time, another class, and we'll go over ways of compressing, optimizing, things like that, and then we can see that change as well.
Thry also has an amazing tool for avatar evaluation here that you can go in and go see your VRAM, your grab passes, blend shapes, et cetera, et cetera.
You can also reduce your texture memory. Yep. That same tool.
Yep, I was diving into that with the VRM calculator. The VRM calculator here shows you all of your texture memory and mesh memory, and allows you to go in and actually see image by image how much is taking up, sorted by the ones that are the worst. Well, this is, I guess, showing the meshes here, but you get the point. Like the belly chain base color is my largest image at 5 megabytes, and oftentimes it'll give you options to be able to go change the compression mode or the import size as well. So if I had this set up as like a 4K, it might even suggest to me automatically to convert that down to a 2K. Looks like it's not going to do that right now, but you get the point. A really nice tool. You can go through and see where you can nickel and dime your way to a lower VRAM usage.
So I guess for 8K ones, you just set that to 4K or 8K?
Exactly. You just lower it down. I mean, the idea is even if you have a 4K texture, you can import it in Unity as a 2K or 1K texture. You might get slightly worse resolution, but usually who cares? For the most part, it's not, you don't need 4K textures on basically anything. I usually if you do it on anything, it would be on your skin, right? Because it's your whole body. But most clothing,
but I guess you could have different versions too, right?
You could, yep. And then the other times you might want to use a 4K resolution is when you do atlas textures. So sometimes you'll have all of the clothing on your body in a single material, atlasing your textures together, in which case a single 4K texture might be justified.
I have a single 1K texture for all of my clothing actually
nice.
On green avatar. You can't tell that's 1K texture.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm really interested.
You want me to switch your avatar?
Yep. That is a great segue as we wrap up class for the day. Next week, we have Merton coming in to talk to us about avatar optimization.
Actually, I was thinking of either that or how to do world anchors.
Ooh.
And various ways of them. Actually, we can pick either one.
Yeah.
And there's two different ways of doing world anchors, actually, though.
300 megs.
Yeah, so that has saved 18 megabytes of texture memory.
That's cool, and basically no difference in actual quality other than the nails.
Yeah, now, so that's 18 megabytes off on your texture memory, and how much off your uncompressed?
I didn't pay attention to the number. I guess you have it right there. 294.
Yeah, I've got it in the chat.
Yep.
So your old one was 294.89.
16 megabytes off. That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was just changing the skin.
Yep.
And we didn't even crunch compress it or anything.
And I think we can get a lot more value out of a lot of the clothing stuff as well. Like the skin itself, there's lots of nice little detail and skin textures that can make them look really nice that Matcaps might not be able to replicate perfectly. But you could also just import the skin at a lower resolution. You could import your albedo at like a 1K with your normal map and still get a lot of nice detail. Lots of cool stuff you could do. But we are over time, and I want to be respectful. I know that this is a good conversation. We can keep it going, but I do want to at least like wrap up class formally first. Any questions, comments, concerns for myself or Ebontain before we wrap up for the day? Take care, Wicked.
Night, Wicked.
Oh yeah, so like you were mentioning like special like asset libraries where you can get like some paid assets too. Like is there some big libraries where you can get a lot of stuff to work with too?
If are you meaning Matcaps or normal maps or which?
Like various assets. Like I know on like music production, there's like huge libraries like Spitfire Audio where like there's like thousands of dollars of like industry level like recordings and stuff of real instruments.
I found hundreds of Matcaps on Booth actually.
Yeah, on Booth you can find a lot. Gumroad you can find very little, and any other site you will pay out the you know what because.
But I guess you get like a massive like quantity of stuff on other ones that are real high quality. Like if you're willing to
necessarily.
No. So a industry level 8K Matcap cost $12,000 to a studio.
Oh, right, to get all those assets yet?
No, that's for one Matcap.
Oh,
that's also studio licensing. That's
Right.
they're expecting to sell that to a AAA game,
and they do not sell those to any other type of license. So you will only find things that people have made, in general. You will not find the good ones because they know the studios will pay the most for it.
They want 2B's ass to look just like 2B's ass.
That's an oddly specific example, Burton.
But yeah, so if you look on Booth, you will find for Blender a Matcap generator that you can use to make Matcaps. But the best solution I can tell you is literally just make a sphere in Blender. You paint it however you want. Remember, you're only going to see one side of it. Get the lighting how you want for where you want the lighting to be hitting it, if you want that at all. In VRC, you really want Matcaps with no lighting. And what you do is you zoom in, get it as big on your screen as possible, and you take a screenshot. You just made a Matcap, just cut it down to the edges of the sphere you took a picture of.
You could probably do some interesting stuff with that as well in Blender using lights.
If you want to show that bead, that actually is a perfect example right there.
What am I showing?
The bead, the white one.
Yep.
Fusion beats.
Yeah. So if you see right here, that this one isn't even well made because you can see there's a gap on the left. But you basically want to match that pixel on the left, cut there, cut the top, cut the right, cut the bottom. That is just a sphere that was painted in Blender.
That's fascinating. Huh.
And that's how you make a Matcap.
Cool.
Matter of fact, some of the Matcaps I have, like if we go to do this again, like we're really going over like Matcaps after, we have one of the avatars fully set up for it is I actually have Matcaps that are literally just like a sphere of amethyst that I took a picture of.
Neat. I really like this one.
Oh, nice. So you can like overlay like picture on there essentially, or take a picture of something.
Yeah. A matter of fact, if you want to look at my eyes again, you can either take a picture of something like some of the gold ones I have. I was meaning in world.
Oh, sure.
That'd be a lot faster. Yeah, let me crouch.
Hey, I'm gonna go. Okay.
Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you around.
Bye bye.
So you can have anything from just a picture of an eye like this on a sphere with a Matcap, and as we were saying earlier, which I don't know if you're here for, like this is Matcaps always follow the user. This just is a sphere with no texture on it, so that Matcap simply follows you.
Hilariously cool.
So you can use anything. Take a picture of something. I actually have Matcaps that Basic now has that are literal just pictures of a gold nugget.
Fascinating.
Pictures of a ball of steel that's been polished, things like that. That's all you need to make a Matcap.
Neat. Cool. Well, anything else before we wrap up for the day? I don't mean to cut you off.
I'll do the manifest to Basics so you can put that in the class stuff. And
yes.
I already actually sent you the skins folder, so if you want to just copy that for the class.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you're interested in
Um,
giving out, I'm more than, I think that'd be awesome. I think
Yeah,
all the students
'cause-
would really appreciate that.
Yeah, because that has everything I said, including Dark Elf, and even then, you can use hue shifting and make whatever skin you want. So
Yeah, I can absolutely zip that up and send it out. Beautiful. And I'll make sure to upload this this video to YouTube after I go in and do some basic editing and stuff. And I'll make sure everybody gets a link to it.
sounds good.
Cool. Well, thank you all for
Ooh.
coming. I appreciate you all. Can see you all next week. I'm still going to be here for a little while anyway, but I'll see you all next week for Merton's class. Very excited. We got a bunch of big creators coming in. Got Merton next week. We got Virtual Lily in 3 weeks. And hopefully other creators coming in soon. If you have anybody that you want to see featured, feel free to reach out to them or tell me who they are so I can go reach out to them. I'm really interested in bringing in a wide variety of expertise so that we can all learn and grow together.